The universities, for example, they recognise that IB students are tremendously well prepared to be independent learners at the next stage.
Very practical, hands-on, many experiments. That's how it's supposed to be, isn't it?
If they were put in an A-level and they didn't have an exam for 2 years.
Okay, 3 things what makes St. Clare's special.
Is the IB program the right choice for you? Who benefits the most from the International Baccalaureate, and what makes this program stand out? Hello everyone, welcome back to the Maryadi channel, your go-to partner for all things in education has to offer. In today's episode, we're diving into the International Baccalaureate program, also known as the IB. My colleague Adi from Maryadi had the pleasure of interviewing the director of St. Clare's Oxford, one of the leading IB schools in the UK. Together, they touched on the key aspects of the IB, who it's best suited for, the unique advantages it offers, and the important factors to consider when choosing your academic path. If these questions resonate with you, stick around. We've got plenty of valuable insights coming up.
Our pleasure to meet you, sir.
And a great pleasure to meet you too.
Thank you very much for finding time to speak to me.
You're welcome.
I know you are a very, very busy person, you are, and you have meetings back to back.
Most days, yes.
Very limited time to speak to me, but still, important question, why IB?
Okay, well, I've worked in a whole range of educational systems.
Really?
I myself have a European Baccalaureate as my own qualification. I trained in Scotland, so the Scottish system. I've worked in England with the A-levels, and I've worked with the IB. And so I've had a look at a range of systems, and there's no doubt in my mind IB is substantially the best.
Okay.
Number of reasons for that. One, I like the breadth of the qualification. It keeps people broad. You need to retain those really key subjects like your home language and maths. You need to keep a science and a humanity. It's balanced. I also think there's a lot of emphasis on the skills, okay? And they're 21st century skills, the ability to think critically and creatively, to collaborate with others.
Social skill.
Absolutely, very much so. The ability to self-manage, to get to the point as a student where you're able to recognise what the next step in your own development is. The ability to research in a world full of information and misinformation. So the IB really focuses on building those skills. So the universities, for example, they recognise that IB students are tremendously well prepared to be independent learners at the next stage. And then, of course, it's got that international mindedness. It is a world out there. It's not just one country that you have your opportunities in. You can go out there and make a difference across the world, and I think that's a really sort of powerful element of it. So I'm a real IB fan.
Yeah, I can tell by listening to it. Are you saying that universities like IB more than A-level?
It's really interesting. What tends to happen is when you meet with university people, on the record, they won't express a preference, but they almost always, in private, they say, "Oh, we really like IB," because they find the students are really well prepared. They're more mature. They've had to juggle lots of different deadlines, so they're good at organising themselves. For example, the extended essay means they've got very good research and referencing skills. They're just university ready. And it's interesting, our students come back and they say, we're so much better prepared than a lot of the people who come through the
A-level route. Okay.
Do you know the fundamental differences between the IB and A-level programs? What are their advantages and disadvantages? What should you focus on when making your choice? We'll explain everything and help you make the right decision during your consultation. All our contact details are in the description below the video.
But you know, they introduced quite recently that EPQ, Extended Project Qualification, which can be taken as part of the A-levels as well. And many say that IB is more challenging in terms of academia program. So it's not for everyone.
Do you know, again, it's a really interesting thing. I think a lot of schools around the world and in the UK sort of assumed that the IB was only suitable for their most able students, and so they ended up with just a few students at the top end doing it. But actually, because you have coursework, for example, in every subject, and there are a lot of different components that all matter, but are not a huge proportion of the totality, actually it's very good for students who need more structure. and so they're constantly working on smaller tasks that sort of they need to do. And funny enough, at one of my previous schools, actually it benefited the weaker students even more than the ones at the very top end. So I almost think that's a bit of a misconception with the IB, that it's only for the most able.
I remember my student university days as well, long time ago. I did not like exams, but I was so good in courseworks and stuff.
Well, yeah, for example, in the arts, for example, it's all coursework. Yeah. But even in things like, your first language, 55% coursework.
Yeah.
You can build up a really, really strong part of your final grade by working consistently through the course. And that's very good for all students, but particularly ones maybe who, if they were put in an A-level and they didn't have an exam for 2 years, they lose the first year just through drift. You don't lose time through drift in the IB. You're getting on with stuff. You're getting on with stuff. And that's a better way to work.
There's one important point worth mentioning. Beyond its flexibility and wide range of subjects, the IB assessment system has another significant advantage: its global recognition. With standardized grading across the world, it ensures fair comparisons of student achievements, no matter their country or cultural background. This gives IB graduates a real edge when applying to universities internationally. Adil discussed this in detail with the college's career counselor, Dominic. You'll find the link in the description below.
6 modules?
Yeah, 6 subjects, yeah.
6 subjects. And how many coursework? So how this evaluation system structured?
Sure. So every subject has a piece of coursework in it.
Okay.
Some have more than one piece. So, for example, in, say, visual arts, it's all coursework, and you do an exhibition, you do a process portfolio, and you do a comparative study. But in other subjects, for example, like psychology, you plan and then conduct and then write up an experimental study. In things like English, you do an oral, but you also, at a high level, you produce an essay, a written response. So the coursework varies in each subject in what it is and how much it's worth, but it's found in every subject.
Some argue, those in favor of A-level, that if you know what you want to do at university, what's the point of wasting your time on doing some subjects not related?
It's really interesting. I think for some students, the A-level is a very good thing. If you really are absolutely focused in on one area and you're very good at it as well. So, for example, I sometimes think the maths, further maths, physics type combination, I can see the sort of attraction of that to some students. But for most of the rest of the people, I think in many cases they're not that decided.
No, it's very difficult.
And you don't know what you'll end up doing. I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm a biochemist by background, but I did German at school in part of my European Baccalaureate, and I ended up giving a best man speech in German at a wedding.
What? Really?
I couldn't do that if I'd clipped off German, when I was 15. I don't think I would have discovered that I have a love of ancient history if I'd given up history, at age 16. So you don't know how you're going to develop beyond the age of 16. And for so many students, they're kind of tainted by their experience of being in large GCSE classes where most of the people aren't that bothered. But, bring it into the sixth form, make it more relevant, smaller classes, more interaction. You can discover a love for a subject you didn't know you had.
Of course, yeah, I do agree, yeah. And we have so many cases, students come from other countries and they hate chemistry and biology. And then they discover that they love it.
Yeah, that's right. They come and they do the practical elements, the investigative stuff, and suddenly they're going, this is a different subject. And it's like, yeah.
I met a technical person, Galina.
Yes.
And she said it's very practical, hands-on, many experiments. That's how it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to go and do it in the real world, that's what you'll be doing. So getting people to do these things and also to think about how you design it, an investigation, how to do it. It's incredibly valuable and fun.
Sometimes choosing the right subjects and specialization can be even more critical than picking the university itself. Career guidance for young people also happens to be one of our areas of expertise. We'd be happy to go into more detail and help you make the right decisions during your personalized consultation with our experts at Maryadi.
Okay, 3 things what makes St. Clare's special. Very good reputation. I'm saying it from myself.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, the first thing is we're an IB school and we're focused on IB. We're really, really good at it. And part of that is we've been doing it for years. The teachers that I have to work with, they are examiners, they write the textbooks. St Clare's also has, at the IB Institute, we train other teachers through the workshops how to teach IB. So we've got a really, really high level of expertise. The second thing is there's a lovely, friendly, informal, warm community. I hope you might have kind of experienced it just walking around.
Yeah.
There's a real sense of togetherness between the students and the teachers. It's all first name terms, so I introduce myself as Al. That's what I've been known as to my students. And so they develop those really close relationships, and they really appreciate being treated as young adults. There are, of course, there are expectations on them, and they're ambitious, but they really want to enjoy the time they have here, and they do. And the final thing is just the internationalism. It's International Baccalaureate, and we have 50 nationalities. So when I'm talking in, say, a psychology lesson, and we're talking about different sort of perspectives, there they are in the room. Everyone's experienced the different sort of stereotypes, for example, that they have in their nation, and they can just bring those to your discussion.
We walked into the music classroom, and there were like 8 or 9 students, and all of them were from different
countries.
It was like, really? How is that possible?
It's absolutely brilliant. And you just get so many different ways that you can develop an idea when you have those different perspectives in a room, and people are really comfortable talking about them. So it makes for a remarkable community.
It makes you to become a global person.
Global citizen.
At Maryadi, we make it a priority to personally visit every school or university we recommend to our clients. And, as is often the case, we bring our 360 cameras along so that you can experience these places just as we do. This IB school in Oxford is no exception. If you're curious to learn more, take a look at our other videos about this institution. You'll find all the links in the description below.
All right, pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah, no worries. Really, really good to meet you too.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, if you're interested in the topic of international education but aren't quite ready to take action yet, there's no need to rush. Subscribe to our channel, get inspired, and when you're ready, reach out to us for a consultation. That's all from us for today. Stay connected, and we'll see you in our next videos.